Hi everyone, and welcome to Module 6. I am your instructor, Amy Bowman-McElhone, as you know already. So we have hit sort of the watershed mark, the crucial point in the semester, because we are now going to be introduced to modernism. We are now embarking on the modernist period. So this module is a bit of a monster, I'll forewarn you. And because of that, I'm going to push back some due dates. So there's a lot of content. So your VoiceThread module posts are going to be due on Thursday as they usually are, but they're the only things that are going to be due Thursday. So I want you to work through this week, work through all that content. There's 6 voice threads, but you only have to post to 3. But you need to be well versed in each of them. And so I just want you to focus on that and focus on the module lecture posts for this Thursday. And then when I'm extending to the following Sunday, which is the 29th, so the module posts are due the Thursday 26th as per usual. And then the quiz is going to be due Sunday June 29th. And we have our compare and contrast voice thread assignment, which I will also push back to Sunday the 29th. So you can kind of get the content out of the way. You can kind of focus on just like wading through it, and answering the discussion prompts for the module lecture posts because they're going to be very involved. And that should prepare you fully for the compare and contrast assignment and the module quiz. So I'll give you some extra time on that. So this module contains 3 lesson topics. We have Introduction to Modernism, which is just going to talk about, what modernism is, and have sort of the main key terms for the entire module will be presented in that topic. So there's not going to be any specific artworks in lesson topic 1, and so you should move through that very quickly, excuse me. And there's no voice threads in that lesson topic. But even though there's no voice threads, we'll make up for that in the following lesson topics, which is lesson topic 2 is Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, and Expressionism. And lesson topic 3 is Cubism, extensions of Cubism, Surrealism, and Dada. And so we're looking at European modernism specifically in the late 19th through the early 20th centuries. Next module, we're going to look at American modernism in the same time period. With the previous module, we focused on early 19th century art in Europe and America, and specifically we discussed the aesthetic styles and modes of thought associated with Romanticism and Realism. We also discussed key historical developments of the early 19th century, the most important of which being the Industrial Revolution, which, among many things, caused a nostalgic desire for the undeveloped landscape, and this is represented in the Hudson River School's depiction of the sublime in Romantic landscape paintings, which is represented by Thomas Cole in the United States. And the Industrial Revolution also caused the movement of people from the countryside to the city, and this shift in population resulted in significant social and political upheaval as documented and critiqued by realist artists. We also discussed how the rapid technological advancements during this time produced photography, which, as we saw, had a dramatic impact on ways of seeing and visuality, and which will further impact the art that we're going to address this module. So in our European module, European Modernism module, we will trace further the impacts of the Industrial Revolution on art of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and we'll focus on artistic advancements in Europe and important historical events like World War I. We're going to define modernism, avant-gardism, and address the key styles, artists, artworks, and techniques of the period. So we've got a lot to cover, a lot of ground, and don't get overwhelmed by it. I've tried to structure it so that it's easily digestible. And like I said, I want you to spend this, from now until next Thursday, really just kind of wading through that material. So from here, proceed to lesson topic 1, Introduction to Modernism. And as usual, read the assigned chapters and view the VoiceThread lectures and Smart History videos. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this little video, your assignments this week are you need to comment on the VoiceThread lectures. There are 6. You only need to comment on 3. Directions of which for all of this are located in the assignments topic of this module. You're going to take the Module 6 quiz, and you're going to complete the VoiceThread compare and contrast assignment. As I said, any questions you have about details of the assignments, just go to the assignments topic in this module, and that should clarify everything. So, upon successful completion of this module, all of you should be able to define modernism and evaluate its position within the history of art in relation to what we have learned so far. You should be able to describe and assess the historical avant-gardes, which for our purposes we're just going to refer to the avant-gardes. But that's the historical avant-gardes are specifically avant-gardism during this period. Later on in the late 20th century, there's what's called neo-avant-gardism. We'll address that later. But when I say historical avant-gardes, I'm speaking specifically about the avant-gardism in this time period. You will be able to identify the significant artists and artworks in European modernism, and as well as define and distinguish the major period styles, also known as art movements. Now they're considered more movements than necessarily styles, just a terminology thing. And you will identify major historical events and modes of thought that impacted European modernism and assess the impact of World War I on art, which it had a very dramatic effect on artwork of especially the early 20th century, and especially in Europe, because that's where World War I took place, and it created a lot of destruction, social upheaval, etc. So, as I said, this is a huge module, and for good reason. It's sort of like this watershed moment in the course and in the history of art, as far as breaking with, yet also staying somewhat connected to the traditions, past Western art historical traditions up until this point, and then everything after it really sort of always comes back to modernism. So we really need to focus on this module, get through this content, because this is going to really help you for the remainder of the semester. And as always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And as I said, I'm available for virtual office meetings. Just give me a call and we can do a video conference or talk over the phone, whatever you are most comfortable with. So I hope all of you are doing well. You guys are really having a strong semester. I'm very pleased with a lot of all the work that you guys are producing, as well as your engagement in the class. So I'm very impressed with that, and keep it up. So again, if you have any questions, just contact me.